What's up, new crew? Today I'm bringing you guys along for a couple of days worth in the kitchen. We are focusing on putting some convenience homemade things in the freezer for convenience. We're working on cookie dough balls, a little bit of breakfast prep. We're also going to be doing some bread products, dinner rolls, bread loaves, and a handful of other things. Prepping for a big no-cook freezer meal kind of prep day. Pulling out meat for meatloaf and burger patties, all the things. We're doing lots of things in this video. So come along with me. I'm going to show you guys how I make these items, how I prep them for the freezer, and ultimately how I store them in the freezer. So let's go ahead and hop in. We're starting with cookies. So I have this tray filled here. This is going to go in the oven. We're going to bake this. This is going to be for after school snacks and all those things we talked about earlier. Now when it comes to putting things in the freezer, I'm going to show you guys how I do that as well while these are baking. Most of my time in the kitchen, because I like being in the kitchen, but it's also not something I want to do a crazy amount of the time. Easy cleanup, all those things. So while I'm in the kitchen, my mixer is going to be dirty once. I'm going to prep things, make sure that on days where I really do not want to be in the kitchen, maybe I'm sick or something, I need a little bit of a mom break, I can pull these out. My husband can take care of these for me and throw these in the oven, different things like that. So I'm not going to spray this pan with Pam or anything like that. I don't need to. I'm going to put this whole thing in the freezer after I fill it with my cookie dough balls. I'm basically going to scoop them on here like I would scoop them on here with my cookie scoop. I'm just not going to space them out. I'm just going to put them right next to each other, fit as many balls onto this tray as I can, and I'm gonna put it in the freezer to freeze for either a couple of hours, but more than likely, because it's gonna be the end of the day. It's still a school night. We know how that goes, right? It's gonna go crazy. Homework, lunches, baths, whatever needs to happen tonight. It's probably gonna be in the freezer until tomorrow when things are a little bit more quiet during the day again, and I can pull them out. Once they're completely frozen, I'll pull them out and put them in a freezer Ziploc bag, and then just put them back in the freezer as cookie dough balls. That way I can grab one ball out at a time. They're not all going to stick together. And that way I can pull them out and have them ready for me, and I will cook them straight from frozen. Another way you could do this, if you didn't want to put them in your freezer, maybe you don't have room in your freezer, whatever it is, you could also just prep this cookie dough, and you could store your extra cookie dough in your fridge for a while. And I've done that especially during the holidays when I'm doing like an insane amount of holiday baking. Sometimes I'll have a day where I'll just make all of my cookie dough, do a cleanup, and then a day or two later I will actually bake all of my cookies, which is always an option. So lots of different options, lots of different ways you could do this here. But then this way I'm going to have at least a couple things of cookie dough in my freezer ready to go, which is great. And it makes it super quick and super easy, which are always my favorite things. It is very early Saturday morning. I am going to throw together some dinner rolls for dinner tonight. I'm putting a roast in the crock pot because we have a very busy day today. We're not going to be home. And my husband is working an overtime shift today. So I want to have dinner ready for when we get home, and everybody's getting over a head cold. So we're very tired. So a roast and some dinner rolls will be really good. I'm going to double this recipe to put half of these dinner rolls in the freezer for another busy day. This is a kind of day where normally I would like to pull them out of my freezer and just have them rise and be ready to go. But because my freezers are empty right now of all these convenience things, I have to make them, which is exactly why I'm doing this, so that I can get my freezers back stocked up. I will have this recipe linked down below. I might write it up on the screen here for you guys. It's a very simple recipe. Absolutely love it. The one thing I'm going to be doing different is this recipe calls for 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm actually going to be putting in 1/4 cup of local honey because we are all sick. I want to get that honey in here. Be really good for everybody with allergies and things going on, whatever it is. So that's the only difference I'm going to be doing today into this recipe. This recipe so much because it's a 30-minute recipe. It's only a 1 rise yeast roll, which is why it's so quick. So from the time I actually make it to the time I'm pulling them out of the oven, I'd say it's probably closer to an hour, but still a really quick recipe for rolls. So it's not necessarily something that you need to prep or remember that you want really early in the morning, but because I am going to be gone all day, it needs to go in now. So here are our dinner rolls. These are some of my absolute favorite things to have in the freezer are these dinner roll recipes, or this dinner roll recipe, however the right way to say that is. I love these in my freezer because I can grab out just a handful and let them proof. They're great for soup season, stew season, crock pot meals. During the winter, I feel like almost every meal that we have is drenched in a gravy or in a broth or something, and nothing is better than having some fresh bread to kind of like slop that up with. So I don't always want to be making fresh bread every single day. Sometimes we're just too busy for it. I know I'm preaching to the choir here with a lot of you guys. That being said, I love having these to just pull out, have a couple of them made, and they are so fantastic. These also make really good sandwiches or really good slider buns if you're kind of looking for different ways to use them. Absolutely fantastic, but we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to roll these out, put them in a pan, get them in the freezer to flash freeze, pull them out about a day later, put them in a Ziploc bag, and throw them back in the freezer for future use. And then this way, as I'm making more dinner rolls, I can always double the batch a couple more times and get that Ziploc freezer bag really full of these like rolled dough balls, and they'll be good to go. So absolutely loving this. We're gonna bake some right away for dinner tonight, and then the other batch that we made is going right in the freezer for future use. For dinner tonight, I just need something super simple. We had a birthday party yesterday. It's almost 2 o'clock. And I've spent all day just getting my house back in order from the birthday party. So I think we're gonna do spaghetti and meatballs. I already have meatballs in my freezer that I pressed, or rolled rather. However, it's my last bag of meatballs. So I'm going to make a batch of bread. My bread makes 2 loaves. I'm gonna have one for dinner tonight. The other one I'm going to roll into a log and put in the freezer. Continuing on with our kind of freezer fill in over the last couple of days here, and when I put that log into the freezer, I'm going to pull out probably 10-ish pounds of ground beef, and then tomorrow we are going to roll more meatballs for the freezer. I think I'm going to press some burger patties because I don't have any of those in the freezer right now either, and I think we're going to make some meatloaf because I have fresh carrots and onion from the garden and peppers from the garden, which I would like to put into my meatloafs. I love to do a veggie stuffed meatloaf. So I think that's my plan for right now. And then that means that I've checked a ton of stuff off of my list that I want to get in the freezer. But I think we are going to make a little bit of a list together of things that I still want to get in the freezer over the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to take that list and put it up in my kitchen, and over the oncoming days and or weeks when I have some free time, or I'm looking for something to do, or I have a little bit of a slower day, I can work on getting some of those things in the freezers. So let's make our loaves of bread first, and then go grab some stuff out of the freezer to see what we can kind of whip up and exactly how much ground beef I'm going to pull out, and all of those things. So bread first. It is always linked down below if you're interested in it. The link that you'll click has a ton of different bread recipes and rolls and things. I use the white bread recipe that's there. Super simple, super easy. I love this bread recipe. So we're going to be following that recipe today, but it's linked down below if you want it. Okay, so actually while this is proofing a little bit, or activating, let's run out to the freezers and pull out some ground beef. That's where a little bit of experience and a little bit of math is involved. I have 1 pound blocks of ground beef in this freezer, and I have 2 pound blocks of ground beef in that freezer. My 1 pound blocks are a Wagyu beef, so they're a lot fattier. They make really good burgers, and I can presume really good meatballs. What I think I want to do because of that is actually mix my beef with my Wagyu beef and my regular beef. I've never done that before, but we're gonna see how that goes. I think it's gonna make good burgers and really good meatballs, and I think it would make probably pretty good meatloaves as well. I also have some bags of venison down here. I want to can some and I think use some in some meals, like a stew type thing, like stew bags, dump and go meals to put in the freezer, but that's for a later date for sure. Meatballs for dinner tonight. Two, 4, 6. As my bread is finishing coming together here, the other thing I decided kind of impromptuly I want to do today is get some chocolate chip pancake little mini muffins in the oven so that I can do a couple batches of those today, get a ton of them in the freezer for very easy breakfasts. We heat those up straight from frozen in the microwave for the kids in the morning. Absolutely fantastic. The kids can also take them for snack with them to school, and like lots of great things. Sometimes they'll throw them in lunch boxes and stuff. So I haven't had any of those. We're only, I think this is week 3 of the school year, so we're still kind of getting back into that momentum of making sure that things are prepped and things so we don't have to rely on store-bought stuff. So I'm gonna do that today as well. I might as well if I'm in the kitchen and getting things accomplished. And it's one of those things that really simple to do. It's just in and out and in and out of the oven essentially, because I'm using pre-made pancake mix. So super simple, and it'll make my mornings a lot easier. So let's make a couple batches of those while we're at it. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing we've done with pretty much everything else. I will just mix up my pancake mix, throw these in the oven. I top them with whatever I want. This time we did chocolate chips because that's just what I had. And I bake these at about 350 just for, you know, until they're cooked and they're baked and they're like a little pancake. I did a couple loads of those. I got our bread, one in the oven, one in a Ziploc bag to put in the freezer for another day when I don't have time to make bread from scratch, or I just don't want to get my kitchen all dirty from making bread. I went ahead and waited for my muffins to completely cool. I got 2 gallons worth of these chocolate chip little pancake muffins for the kids, and I ended up taking about half of a batch and putting it in our snack jars for the kids. And that is everything that we're able to do over the last couple of weeks to fill our freezer, but there's definitely more videos coming. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are, staying safe out there, and I will see you guys in another one.